Hey guys, Aaron Tainter here. Today we're talking about bar chords and specifically a special trick that you can use in order to construct your own bar chords. Why do bar chords seem so mysterious, challenging to play, and seemingly impossible to construct? For example, I can play this chord and tell you that it's a D7. But how the heck is that chord actually constructed? The truth is, if you've ever played power chords before, you've already dabbled with bar chords. If you've been playing guitar for more than a few months, you've probably learned all of the common open chords. And by open chords, I mean chords where you play close to the nut and use the open strings for the structure of the chord. For instance, a D is an open chord, a G is an open chord, and an E major is an open chord as well. They all just use the open strings to construct the chord. These chords sound good because we're playing notes at consistent intervals for each chord. For example, if I play an E major chord, I'm playing the first, fifth, and third relative notes in the E major scale. No matter what fret that you bar, the intervals between the strings stay constant. Therefore, I can take an E chord and shift it up 5 frets and play an A chord. If you play a power chord, you're effectively playing the same shape, but only playing the bottom 3 strings. You can even take that same shape and shift it over 1 string so that the root note is different. The shape does change slightly though, because the B string is tuned down by 1 semitone. So you take what was ever on that 4th string, in this case my second finger, and move it up by 1 fret. So in this case I played a D major. Now here's where the magic starts to happen with bar chords. When we're playing open chords like E or G, they're effectively barred across the nut, or the 0th fret. If I were to downtune my guitar by 1/2 step, in order to play the same chord, I would have to bar across the 1st fret. If I were to shift those same shapes all the way up to the 5th fret, I'm still playing the same relative intervals, but it's a different chord, which is an A. Since G is the relative third in the E major scale, if I were to take that G and shift it all the way up to the 5th fret, the G is now a C because the C is the 3rd relative note in the A major scale. If I were to take the 6th relative note in the E major scale, which is a C, and shift it all the way up to the 5th fret, it becomes an F because an F is the 6th relative note in the A major scale. If you want more info about how notes relate to each other through scales, make sure to check out my video on the Nashville number system because it goes more in depth on this topic. These relative shapes are why many guitar players use a capo to transpose songs to a different key. As long as you play the same shapes relative to the capo as if it was an open string, you would be playing the same intervals. The capo is just an easy way to play a bar chord because you don't actually have to hold down the strings with your finger. You just let the capo do the work for you. With bar chords, you can add any variation like you would with a traditional open chord. For example, if I play an E7, you notice that I remove my 3rd finger from the 3rd string. If I were to play an A, I can also remove my finger on the 3rd string to play an A7. Here's another variation where I play an E sus4, but instead of playing that at E, I would play with a root note of A. Typically with guitar, it's helpful to learn shapes. Shapes are meaningful to the guitar because you can move them around the fretboard to play different variations of the same chord. When you learn to transpose these shapes, you can apply them to old chord progressions to give them more color. I'm going to link a tool that I use to construct chord diagrams for this video. It's a really helpful tool if you want to make your own bar chords and experiment with different shapes. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you can keep up to date with all my latest videos. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.